Let's make some sourdough sandwich bread from a microbakery. All we're gonna need is sourdough starter. This is King Arthur special patent flour as a base with some freshly milled whole wheat and spelt. We have some hot milk, bring it up to about 90-95 degrees so it's not so cold coming out of the fridge, so bulk fermentation doesn't go so long. And we have some lightly melted butter, just easier for me to mix. When I just leave it soften, it's really hard to incorporate by hand, but leaving it as liquid, incorporate at the beginning, it works a lot better. Half the hydration's coming from water, half's coming from milk. So we're just gonna scale this out. Fed this about 10 hours ago at a 110-10. Nice and bubbly, starting to break down a little bit, but good level of fermentation. Especially when I'm mixing my sandwich loaves, I like to mix the starter in first and then everything else. Sandwich loaves, there's milk, butter, and other allergen stuff. So if you put all that other stuff in and you overshoot your starter, then you can't really pick it. You're gonna have to just pick it out and just chunk it. Everything else, I just go water, starter, and everything just else dumped in. Got a few other batches of stuff going. I got some country loaves going, doing some pretzels, doing some cookies. So I'm gonna stay busy today. And go in with our milk. About 95-degree water right here. That'll work. A couple grams over in hydration is not too bad since I'm doing fresh milled flour. Base flour recipe 68%. That was when I was just doing 100% bread flour, but with the fresh milled components, they take a little more hydration, so it's okay to go a little bit over. Then we're gonna mix in our butter. If you have a mixer, usually this is suggested to do this at the end, but it's for me, it's pretty hard to hand mix this in bulk. So I like to just mix it all at once. And then we're gonna stir all this together and then we'll dump our flour in. Most of these breads and doughs, I like to just do like a wet and dry mix. Like my starter, water, milk, butter, everything else just counts as wet. Same thing if I have oils. In my dries, it's gonna be all my flour, all my salt, all my sugar. The sugar in this context is just helping sweeten the bread slightly. More than anything, it's gonna make the crumb nice and soft. Once these are all in, we're just gonna stir it together. The biggest thing here is just breaking the starter up. We're gonna dump all our flour in. Okay. Hand mix for about 5 to 10 minutes. Usually the stiffer the dough, the less time you gotta hand mix. Like my 75% hydration country loaves, I need about 8 to 10 minutes of hand mix. Lower the hydration, less mixing time you need. So this is starting to become more cloddy, I like to call it. There's probably a better word for it, but shaggy is probably the correct term. Biggest thing I like to do here is make sure I'm not leaving any big piles of dry flour. Really all you're doing is just trying to hydrate everything and mix everything together lightly. Then we'll do 2 rounds of stretch and folds, and that's usually all this dough needs. Shaping's pretty easy, throw it in straight into tins. We'll do a final room temp proof for 3-4 hours. If I wanted to go really fast, I'll throw it in my garage. It's, low 90s here in Texas. That garage gets pretty hot. Usually when it's about 1 inch or 2 above the tin on all sides, it's about ready to throw in the oven. So now we're gonna go wet hands and just mix it in the rest of the way. Just really squeezing through, kind of just do that motion. You're just pinching through, finding any dough clumps as you go. It's starting to be more of a shaggy mass. Able to move the whole mass as one. It's feeling pretty evenly distributed of all the ingredients in there. Not really finding any dry spots anymore. Clean my hands off, throw a lid on this, and then we'll come back in 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, we're gonna do our first set of stretch and folds. Allowing the dough to rest lets the dough hydrate and lets the gluten develop a little further. On a quick window pane test, it's tearing at the sides a little bit, but we'll fix this with some folds. I just do a quick and easy stretch and folds, north, south, east, west. Now, most recipes say do like 4 folds or 5 folds or whatever. You just do however many folds the dough lets you do. If you do 4 sets of folds and the dough still feels really slack and you can feel like you can put more tension in it, just keep going. I almost never stop at 4 unless I get like really far into the bulk fermentation and my dough development's as good as it's gonna get. So after 4 folds, the dough is starting to hang together in one cohesive mass, but it's not quite where I want it. So I'll start doing some coil folds, just grab the middle, let it fall over itself.
do a little bit of a slap and fold action, just whatever you need to do in this style of dough since it's a little stiffer. Now just tuck it up a little bit, and we have a much better looking mass of dough. Not quite where we want, but one more 30-minute rest, and we're gonna check the dough strength, passing a window pane pretty well. We'll do this last set of folds just to help even out temperature and build some dough development a little more. You can see the dough is staying together much better now. Usually on the second set of folds, I just switch to coil folds since the dough's hanging out together a lot better and much more extensible. So it's much more gentle in the dough, so I don't degas it as much. I just do north, south, east, west on this one time each, and that's pretty much good to go. Nice tight ball of dough. Taking the dough temperature, this kind of lets me know a rough ballpark of my total bulk fermentation time. So I give this the full 4 to 4.5 hour bulk fermentation time. Dough is nice and gassed up, comes out clean of the dough bin, feels right, has enough volume rise. So when we're just going to weigh these out in 875 gram dough balls, pre-shape into a ball, and we'll just keep going the rest of these. These are going to rest on the counter for 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll do our final shape into a batard shape, and then we'll drop them into the sandwich tins. Speeding through these. I just only had 7 to do on this time, so that's a small order. I just do a quick spray of pan spray. Don't need much, but since this is going to hang out in the tin the entire time, you have a little bit more likelihood of sticking. I just do like a typical tube shape in this. You can roll it up all the way through. I like to fold in half, tuck the sides in, and just tuck it in like you're doing a fat baguette. I've done a typical country loaf shaping, and I tend to end up with too short and stumpy of a loaf to drop in, but they all work. It will eventually fill out the tin shape anyway, but I just like the aesthetics of this anyway. Gets good results, and it's easy enough for me to do. And these are going to proof for anywhere from 3 to 4 hours at room temp, depending on my ambient temps before I put them in the fridge overnight. If you want to do a full room temp proof and bake same day, just give it a little extra time. Once it gets about an inch above the tin, I'll cold proof them.
After about 18-hour cold proof in the fridge, we're gonna bake these off at 425 degrees, 20 minutes. Then we're gonna rotate, lower it down to 400 degrees, bake for an additional 15 to 20 minutes. These loaves tend to bake quite a bit quicker than my country loaves. I'm not really going for that super dark, crackly crust. This is more like a soft, tender crust, going for like a good golden brown, but not quite as dark as my country loaves. So we're just gonna score these up, spritz them with steam, bake off. See, like right here, about an inch and a half over the tin. Really good shape. So pretty uniform shape. No big belly in the middle, so that's pretty good. Just using that UFO long, just go straight down the middle, decorative score. That's all the scoring I do in these. And that's spritz these up, throw them in the oven.
Just like in my past full-length video, I like to bake everything in loaf pans. Just helps with efficiency. So halfway through, I'll rotate everything top to bottom, left to right, since my oven has a nice big hot spot on the left side of the oven. As I was saying before, I'm going more of a golden brown color and not super dark brown crackly crust, but you do what you want. I always prefer the little more tender of a crust since this is supposed to be a soft sandwich bread, but you do you. I'll take them all out of the tins. A nice good whack on the countertop usually clears them if there's any sticking. Then I'll spritz with some more water. That'll help rehydrate the crust and prevent any cracking when the bread cools down. Had a nice little weekend of bread. Did a couple videos. Did an open bake sourdough bread. Did all my loaf pans. Did pretzels. Everything else turned out really well. Even did some pizza crust. And we went on to bagging some more bread for some happy customers. Hope you liked the video. We'll see you next time.